I waited 3 days at the station. I have nowhere else to go. Mail-order bride asked for one-night stay. The skillet screamed like it always did when she forgot the timer. Ida yanked off the fire with a curse under her breath. Burned. Again. She scraped the blackened biscuits into a rusted coffee tin and slung the lid open with her elbow. Tossed the whole mess into the yard for the dogs that never came anymore. From the kitchen doorway, Virgil shifted his weight, but didn't step inside. "You burning every meal now?" he asked. "I didn't ask you to eat," she snapped. He opened his mouth, but then knock. 3 slow hits on the door, like someone uncertain. Ida moved fast, wiped her hands, opened it. A woman stood there, dust-covered dress, wool coat 2 sizes too large, eyes red and dry but not weeping. She held a worn satchel against her chest. "My name's Dell," she said. "I'm the bride of Marshal Elam. I waited 3 days at the station. Nobody came." Virgil stepped back. Ida didn't move. "He died last winter." Dell blinked once, but nothing else changed. "I have nowhere else to go." "That ain't my problem." Dell lowered her voice like they were already inside something sacred. "He sent letters. They're buried with him. I came all this way." "Then keep going." "Town clerk said this was his land. Now it's mine." Dell looked past Ida, into the house. Her eyes found the empty table, the fire gone low. She didn't ask again. Ida closed the door halfway, but not all the way. Her hand stayed on the knob. "You think I got room for ghosts?" she said. "I ain't a ghost." "You look like one." Dell nodded. "Still, I need one night. Just one." Ida's jaw worked, but she didn't speak. Virgil finally muttered, "You letting her in or not?" Ida turned on him. "Ain't your say." She opened the door. "Just enough. One night. That's all." Dell stepped inside slow. Didn't take her coat off. Didn't look around. Ida pointed to the old chair in the front room. "You can sleep sitting up. Don't touch nothing." "I won't," Dell said. They didn't speak again till morning. Dell didn't ask for a blanket. She didn't take off her gloves. She sat in the guest chair like it had always belonged to her. Spine straight, feet planted, eyes open. The lamp burned low beside her, casting long shadows up the wall. Ida stood in the hallway just past the doorframe, arms crossed, waiting to hear movement that never came. The clock ticked. The floor popped. Ida didn't sleep either. She laid down once, boots still on, but her eyes never closed. In the morning, the fire had died. Dell hadn't moved. Ida walked past her and lit the stove without a word. She filled the kettle, slammed it onto the burner, waited. "You can have the porch basin," Ida said. Dell stood. "Thank you." "One night," I said. "I heard you." Dell stepped outside with the same satchel she came in with. Ida moved to the kitchen window, pulled back the curtain, watched. Dell unpinned her hair first. Then she removed her coat, slow, folding it over the rail. Her dress dropped low on her shoulders as she poured the basin water. Ida froze. Long white lines across her back. Rays. Old. Some crossed over each other. Dell didn't flinch against the cold. Ida turned away before Dell could look up. She ground beans hard, filled the pot, let it boil too long. When Dell came back in, her hair was wet and slicked behind her ears. Her eyes were darker now, clearer somehow. Ida poured 2 cups and set one on the table. Dell didn't ask. She just sat again in the same chair and drank it black. They didn't talk for a while. The silence felt thick, but not sharp, just full. Finally, Ida broke it. "You from the mountains?" "No. You talk like you are." "Maybe I picked it up." Ida sipped slow. "You pick up a lot?" Dell didn't look up. "Enough to survive?" "You run from someone?" "No." "Then what?" Dell stared into her cup. "Just running." Ida nodded once. Didn't press. She stood, gathered her coat, headed for the barn, stopped halfway to glance back. Dell hadn't moved. The chair creaked, but the woman didn't. Ida hitched the wagon just after breakfast. Dell stood near the gate, still in her same coat, still holding that satchel like it meant something. Ida didn't ask if she was ready. She just nodded toward the seat. They didn't speak much on the road. Dust kicked up behind them. The sky was low. Empty fields rolled past like nobody ever lived here. The station clerk was young. Greasy hair, bad teeth, hand that fidgeted with every paper he touched. Ida spoke first. Got a letter to send. Back east. The clerk looked at Delaware name. Delaney Wade. He shuffled through forms. No record of purchase. No registry, neither. Del blinked. Then who sent me the money? The clerk shrugged. Could have been anyone. Folks send lies all the time. They walked out without another word. The sheriff leaned on the corner post across the street. Thick coat, clean hat, and no smile. He didn't wave. Del's voice was low. He's the one who met me at the station. Told me to go home. Said it was a mistake. Ida kept walking. He's Elam's uncle. Del paused. He didn't say that. He don't say much. But he runs everything. Land deals, rail schedules, marriages, deaths. They climbed back into the wagon. Ida didn't start it. He knew you were coming, she said. Del stared ahead. So what now? They rode quiet until the trees came back in view. Nearing home, Ida finally broke it. You can stay till first frost, but you do your share. Del nodded. I can clean, chop, stitch, and you keep quiet. Quiet about what? Everything. Del looked over, brow tight. I don't stir trouble. Good, Ida said, 'cause there's already too much of it buried here. They pulled up beside the barn. Chicken scratched under the porch steps. Ida unhitched without help. Del stepped down, slow. Do I get a room now? You get a cot in the storeroom. Clean it yourself. That'll do. Ida watched her for a long second. You ever shot a rifle? Yes. Ever fired it? Twice. Ida nodded once. Then you're better off than most. They didn't talk again till supper. And even then, not much. Only what was needed. The rest stayed quiet. Just like Ida asked. The barn was quiet in that thick kind of way. Ida didn't go out there unless she had to. But something tugged this time. She stepped through the far stall, moved the old feed bin aside, got down on her knees. Her hands worked fast, prying up the warped plank near the back wall. Dust kicked up dry and sour. Beneath it, a tin box, wrapped in burlap, half rotted. She opened it. Elam's notebook sat inside. Leather warped. Pages damp around the edges, but legible. Her breath caught as she turned the first page. Del's name, dozens of times. Letters, folded. All postmarked. All addressed in her hand. Ida flipped to the last page, heart tight. Elam's final entry read, let her come. They won't touch her if she's my wife. She sat there a while, just breathing. Then she struck a match and lit the edge of the notebook. Watched it catch fast. The flame licked up through the spine. She let it burn, only the letters she saved. That night they ate quiet. Same beans, same cornbread. The lantern hissed. Ida didn't look up. He wrote you. I told you. You knew he was dead. I figured on day 2. Why stay? Del drank. Set the cup down hard. He said you'd be kind. He lied. Del looked up then. Slow? I don't think so. Ida's fork scraped the tin plate. He was wrong about a lot of things. Del leaned back in the guest chair. He loved you. He didn't know me. He wrote like he did. Ida stared at the fire. Her voice came soft. He was scared. Of what? Of them. Del didn't ask who. Didn't have to. Ida stood, took the plates, dumped them in the basin. Her hands worked fast, like the silence didn't matter. Del spoke low. If he knew it'd kill him, why still send for me? Ida dried her hands slow. You were the only good thing left, I guess. Del didn't smile. Then why burn his words? 'Cause they won't save you. They sat in the same rooms, but not the same way. Not anymore. And Ida didn't sleep that night either. She just sat by the window, watching, holding Del's letter, wondering what else Elam had buried. The water tasted off. Ida spat it back into the tin cup. Coppery. She sniffed it, swirled it, dumped it in the basin. Her throat burned a little. Something wasn't right. She grabbed a lantern and stepped out barefoot. Quiet. The wind was low but steady. Crickets gone. Porch boards creaked under her weight. The rope from the well swung loose. Dell's voice came behind her. You drinking it too? Ida didn't answer, just stared down. The water was darker than it should have been. Not cloudy, just wrong. Dell stepped closer. Something dead down there? No smell. Still could be. I'd hear it. Dell looked past the rim. Or maybe it hears you. The wind dropped off sudden. No warning. Then, sharp through the dark, a scream. Long distant. Dell snapped to attention. That was an animal. No. You hear where? Ida turned her head. North Ridge. Dell stayed still. Barn. Farther. They didn't run. They didn't speak. Just stood at the well until the rope settled again. In the morning, word came through. Sheriff's dog torn to pieces. Locals said wolves. Nobody saw them. Ida stirred the fire with her boot heel. There ain't wolves. Dell poured coffee. They need something to name it. It ain't new. It's just not done. Dell sipped slow. You think it's the land? Ida looked through the window. Toward the fields. Toward the trees. Toward nothing. She spoke quiet. Elam, said the land remembers. Like it's got a throat. Dell met her eyes. Then why feed it? Ida didn't answer. She didn't have one. The coffee boiled over behind them, but neither moved. The day felt heavier than the night had, and that well stayed quiet the rest of the week. But they didn't drink from it again. The morning started with bees. Ida smoked the hive slow, bare hand steady, her face blank under the veil. Dell watched close, shoulders tense. Don't swat, Ida said. I'm not swatting. You flinch, they'll know. They already know. By noon, they swapped. Ida stood behind the split log, arms crossed, jaw tight. Dell lifted the rifle, feet square. Loosen your back, Ida said. Dell shifted. It feels wrong. It's supposed to. Now breathe. Dell closed one eye, pulled. The shot rang clean through the bottle. Ida didn't blink. Next day, more smoke. More bullets. Fewer words. Dell grinned after hitting the last jar. Better than you now. You wish. Admit it. Only if you hold that hive next time. They worked through chores like clockwork. Fences patched, onions picked, hooves scraped. In the kitchen, Dell dropped the molasses jar. It cracked, thick syrup spreading across the counter. Ida sighed. Careful. Dell laughed. Ain't you ever spilled anything? Not when I'm watching. You watch everything. Somebody has to. They stood over the mess. Hands sticky. The laughter came soft at first, then harder. Ida leaned back against the sink, wiping her palms on her skirt. Dell caught her breath. I could stay till spring. Ida didn't answer right away. She moved to the stove, stirred the pot, then said, Spring's far. Dell poured water into the basin, farther than 3 days at the station. Ida looked up, just for a second. Don't mean it's close. No, Dell said, but it ain't far as it was. They didn't smile, but they didn't stop each other, either. The air felt less cold that night, or maybe they were just used to it. The screen door creaked once. Ida didn't flinch. She'd heard the boots before they hit the step. The sheriff stood on the porch, hat in hand, coat still dusted from the road. You come and check on the bees? She asked. He nodded at the field. Just making sure what's buried stays buried. It don't. He looked past her. Don't let her stir up the dust. This land don't bury easy. Ida stepped outside, shut the door behind her. You let a woman ride across half the country for a man you knew was in the ground. He never should have written. You mean never should have stood up to you? His jaw moved. No words. Just tight. She folded her arms. You kill him yourself? Wasn't me. But you let it happen. I didn't stop it. That's the same thing now, isn't it? Ida didn't answer. He pulled a bottle from his coat. Brought this for you. She took it. Brandy. You're scrawled on the label. 1874. You don't drink, she said. I'm trying to be neighborly. You don't try. He looked out at the trees. Be careful who you trust. She's not scared of you. She should be. He stepped down without waiting, rode off without looking back. Inside, Dell stood by the window. You see him? I see everything. Ida handed her the bottle. Brandy, he says. Dell turned it in her hands. Full. Feels light. Dell pulled the cork slow. Sniffed. Water. She ran a finger inside the mouth. Her brow furrowed. She tipped the bottle. Tapped something out. A single strand of hair curled onto her palm. Ida leaned in. Yours. Dell looked close. Too light. His. Doesn't matter. What's it mean? Dell met her eyes. This is a warning. Or a trap. Ida stared at the bottle a long time, then set it on the mantel. Neither of them touched it again. The fire caught quick. Ida struck the match and stepped back as the hem went up in a clean line of flame. Pale cotton folded on itself, edges blackening, smoke drifting low across the garden soil. Dell didn't move, arms folded, eyes fixed. She laid the dress out flat, like it was waiting for something else to take it. I brought this to be married, she said. You buried him in nothing. Dell's jaw tightened. You didn't even lay him out? There wasn't time. You could have tried. I did. The fire popped sharp, a row of buttons bursting. He was screaming. Ida said, wouldn't eat, wouldn't sleep, so they were inside his skin. Dell's voice cracked. Who? He didn't say. Just clawed himself raw. Wouldn't let me near him after the second week. You should have sent word. He couldn't write. I didn't want to explain. Dell turned toward her. So, what? He just died on his own. Ida shook her head once. I slit his throat with his shaving blade before he set the barn on fire. Dell blinked, but didn't look away. He asked you to? He nodded. That was all I got. The dress burned down to its sleeves. Smoke curled up like breath. Dell whispered, I thought he'd changed. He did. Not enough. Not for this place. Dell crouched by the flame, watched the last bit of lace curl into nothing. I loved him, she said. I know. Did he love you? I think he tried to. Dell wiped her hand across her face, slow. I wanted to wear that dress in spring. It never makes it to spring here. They stood together as the fire died, leaving only ash and iron buttons. Nothing else remained. Neither woman said another word, not for a long time. Dell moved the flat stone slow, hands steady, bees quiet in the morning chill. The ground beneath was dry, cracked. She dug a little, fingers brushing something hard. Metal. She lifted it. A sheriff's badge. Old. Tarnished. The name scratched clean off. Ida stood behind her. You weren't meant to find that. Dell held it up. You killed him, too. Not yet. They stared at each other. No wind. Just a faint buzz of wings. Dell dropped the badge. How long you been planning it? Since he let Elam rot. Ida turned back toward the house, boots crunching soft across frost. Dell followed without being asked. In the kitchen, Ida opened the cabinet above the stove, pulled down a rifle, checked the chamber, loaded 2 rounds. She held out the other to Delaware. You coming? Dell looked at it. You sure? You have nowhere else to go. Dell took the rifle. Neither do you. They stepped out onto the porch, rifles in hand. The sun barely over the ridge. The badge still lay under the hive. Forgotten. Neither woman turned to look. They rode in just after sunup. Coats buttoned, guns wrapped in flour sacks like groceries. Hooves hit the dirt quiet. Nobody spoke. The town was still. A few shutters cracked. A broom paused mid-sweep. Folks knew what silence meant around here. They tied the horses at the post and walked side by side toward the station. The boards under their boots creaked slow, loud, like the place was holding its breath. The sheriff stood inside, leaning near the wire desk. Hat low, one hand resting casual near his belt. I told you not to stir it, he said. Ida kept walking. You stirred it first. He straightened. She don't know what this town costs. She don't care. His hand moved. Slow, practiced, but not slow enough. Dell's sack dropped. Rifle up, shot cracked through the dust. The sheriff hit the floor, leg buckled beneath him, blood already spreading across the tile. He howled once. Dell didn't lower the rifle. I could have missed, she said. Ida stepped forward, calm. But you didn't. He looked up at her, face pale. You don't get to choose what justice looks like. Ida stared back. I never did. Outside, the town stayed still. But the wind changed, just enough to notice. The wall behind the pantry shelf had always bowed slightly. Ida never paid it mind, not till now. She pressed against it, heard a hollow thud, pulled the board free. Inside, a folded paper. Yellowed, unsent. She sat down at the table, hands trembling more than she wanted. The ink had faded, but not enough to hide his hand. Dell stayed outside, rocking slow on the porch. She didn't ask. Ida opened the letter. I can't save them all, but I can save her. Tell her the land is cursed, but kindness still matters, even if it kills me. She read it twice, then a third time. The words didn't change. Her breath caught. She folded the letter back along its original creases, then unfolded it again. Her hands went to her face and didn't leave. Dell stood in the doorway. You all right? Ida didn't answer. Did he say what you needed? Ida shook her head, barely. Said what he meant. Dell stepped inside, soft. You want to read it out loud? No. You want to burn it? Ida lowered her hands. Eyes red. No. Dell pulled out a chair. Sat across from her. Waited. Ida finally looked up. He thought if he gave enough, maybe something good would stay here. Dell nodded. And you? I don't believe in that. Not anymore. Dell looked toward the window. You might. They didn't speak again. The letter stayed on the table, untouched. The wind outside had gone still. For now, that was enough. Frost dusted the wooden rail like powdered sugar. The field sat dull and brittle, air sharp enough to bite. The hive boxes were closed tight, bees gone still weeks ago. Nothing moved but the smoke curling from the kitchen chimney. Dell poured the coffee slow. The mugs were chipped but clean. Ida stood near the window, arms folded, shoulder resting on the frame. She watched the ground like it might shift. Dell held out the cup. Hot. Ida took it without a word. They sipped quiet. The clock ticked from the shelf. Dell pulled her coat tighter. Mornings are colder now. Ida nodded. Spring still far. Dell smiled faint. Not as far as it was. Ida looked at her. Just looked, then nodded again. No more words came. They didn't need them. Outside, the frost stayed a little longer than usual. Inside, the silence wasn't heavy. It just settled between them like a quilt. Dell added wood to the stove. Ida poured a second cup. The day would start slow, then pick up, like it always had, like it might keep doing. Neither woman said out loud, but they weren't going anywhere. Not today. Maybe not ever.